on, everybody? Welcome back to an exciting new episode of the Viall Files Bachelor Gossip Edition. There's no episode this week, but we've been, just critiquing people's decisions.
Posts, decisions, words.
And since there's no episode, but there seems to be a lot of content out there, we figured we'd still bring you an episode, see how this shakes out. I can't wait to get into all the Bachelor tea that we're going to talk with Teddi. It's going to be great. Just to keep housekeeping note, I know Taylor Thompson was supposed to be our guest tomorrow. Unfortunately, Taylor had a very last-minute thing come up that is unavoidable, and so she couldn't come in and record with us today, so we're definitely going to have her back ASAP. And so Naz is going to be premiering our new segment that we're going to be doing on Wednesdays with our guests. You're going to be a guest for talking about heartbreak as the founder of Heartbroken Anonymous, and help us dissect some pop culture relation stuff going on as a co-host of E! and kick off our new segment called Mediation.
Wow.
Which we are going, if you listen to the Ask Nick episodes.
What a time to be alive.
I know. If you listen to the Ask Nick episodes, this is not an Ask Nick. It's like a version of Ask Nick. It's Ask Nick Ask. Okay. Ask Nick, we do like the long form. People come on, share their stories. I met this guy 6 months ago. You know, we dated for a couple weeks. We tried to set some boundaries. We failed. I'm not sure. We started sleeping together. Then he disappeared for a week and now he's back. And then his cousin, I don't know, whatever is going on. Someone owes me money. I hear a one-sided version of the story.
Someone owes me money.
I try to give them an honest point of view of what I'm hearing from them and people seem to really enjoy it because it helps us date. It's often about dating.
Yeah.
Date a little bit more honest with ourselves is the goal of the Ask Nick. This is couples calling in about a particular disagreement. They're having a hard time getting on the same page. And they've decided to get free mediation from a podcast personality. As opposed, it's like, it's
who needs Dr.
Like,
Phil when you have
It's
Nick?
like the People's Court-ish. It's Judge Judy-esque, if you will. They are not required to do anything I say. 5 Hail Marys and a Godfather,
Nick is not responsible for
any relationship,
any assets that aren't made in your part during the divorce.
And it's something when the show started, we had our guests help us with Ask Nick before we spun it off to its own show.
That's fine.
And we're going to bring this kind of fun mediation with our guests. I think people will really enjoy it. So be sure to tune in tomorrow for mediation and a conversation about heartbreak.
With Nick and
pop
Naz.
culture with Nick and Naz.
Love it. Not all heroes wear capes.
So let's get to Bachelor. You ready for some Bachelor hot gossip?
I'm so
ready. Great. You can rate our podcast on Spotify. So if you listen to this podcast on Spotify, give us 5 stars. So we have Teddi calling in to the show today. Last week on the episode, I made an argument that I thought Teddi's words were manipulative in nature towards Clayton, as if that Teddi knows the assignment, and it seems to me that Teddi's goal, and I don't necessarily fault her for it, I'm just pointing out what I saw, that she's here to play the game more than maybe love, even though she's trying to sell it as love. Combination of like, hey, I'm a virgin, I'm willing to go to the fantasy suite, check. She's checking boxes. Clayton, she was waiting for Clayton. No one knows who Clayton is, but Teddi knows who Clayton is. And then her talking about how emotional she's getting after seeing with Clayton with other women seemed a bit manipulative to me. So we'll ask Teddi about her thoughts, see what she has to say about it, give her an opportunity to speak on my accusations.
My biggest question goes back to what you were saying last week of, you know what it's like to be in the environment. You got the first impression rose. Like, it's day 2.
Yeah.
So my question to her would be, were the emotions real? Were you really this attached to Clayton at this point?
No.
I guess it goes along with
We'll see.
Point of view.
And again, we all can be and have been manipulative in relationships. In fact, Nally and I this weekend were kind of joking about the games we play. For example, I took a picture of us. I was going to post it. She wasn't like, it wasn't her favorite photo. I'm like, I don't know. It's good. I like it. I'm posting it. And she goes, I don't know. I just don't know if you look, it's not my favorite photo of you.
Was it the one of you guys in the car together?
Yeah. And she
How did I know that already?
And she was like, that's not my favorite photo of you. She knew it. I looked at her and she laughed because I knew what she was trying to do. Like we're constantly playing chess in terms of, and that's technically manipulative.
Is it manipulative or is it just being unclear?
No.
And I can't wait for
introduce
Teddi
you?
to get. Yeah, we should probably tell people.
Naz
who I am.
Perez, my friend, former Bachelor producer. That's how I met Naz. Was on Clayton Bristow's season. Also, you're all over the place. You are an E! News correspondent. You started Heartbroken Anonymous. You do stuff for the Dodgers.
Yeah,
You're all
for
over.
Rotten Tomatoes. I'm all over.
But more importantly, my friend and Naz will be helping me critique Bachelor Nation.
Can I
guess.
just say something before we get started,
Sure.
though? I'm so proud of you.
Okay. Thanks. What did I do?
I think coming from someone, like I remember meeting you in Ireland in Caitlin Bristow's season, because you kind of, I don't want to use the word ambush because that's not the right word, but you kind of came out of left field on that season.
Ambush is strong.
Ambush is strong.
But I see what you're saying.
Yeah. It was an unexpected sort of meeting. And I don't know, just having seen you pre being the Bachelor, pre Viall files, I'm just so proud of you.
You didn't think I could do it?
No, no, of course you could have. But it's fun being on the sidelines of that journey. Are you proud of yourself? Because this is a big deal. This is a huge podcast, guys.
Yeah, I guess when I allow myself to pat myself in the back, I suppose I'm worthy of it from time to time. I have a hard time doing that.
I think you struggled with the fact that you could offer a unique perspective when it came to Bachelor Nation, and a part of you had to somewhat grapple with you do.
Yeah, listen, it's you
awesome.
try to carve out one lane. We do the relationship and dating advice space. It's going really well on the Ask Nick editions of the Viall files,
Right.
and that's taking off, and you feel a lot of sense of pride. And then, yes, I know people like it. People like my perspective. There's always going to be the critics of you try to branch out and you think you are, and they're like, but you still fucking about that, and, it's like one of those things. So yes, it's something that we as a show have embraced.
And you've embraced. I think I just wanted to acknowledge that because I think a lot of people, right, from Bachelor Nation jump into this space because they think it's the right next move. And I think I just saw you, Nick, sort of grapple with it, but it's something that is just so innate and genuine in you to talk about relationships and love and to speak on it and have a unique perspective and opinion on it. So,
well, thank you, Naz.
I'm
I
just
like the way
glad
the
to be
show went
here.
about it, is because we started more relationship and dating, and then we accepted the assignment of covering Bachelor Nation a year into the show.
You're saying it like you don't love it.
No, it's actually quite fun sometimes.
Yeah,
but
it is fun
It is
sometimes.
definitely the segment of the show that causes the most personal stress.
Interesting. Why is that?
Because everyone's so damn sensitive.
I feel that way too, as someone who was a producer on the show and who's a TV host now. They're right, and that's so fun to play with that duality where I'm like, I don't care what anyone's doing. Live your life, live your truth, make the mistakes. That's how you learn. And then another part of me is like, well, should they have done that?
We try, yeah. And so
would I have done that? And I think that's what's fun, right? Is to have. That's why this discussion in your podcast is so fun, because when we talk about these things, for me at least, it just opens a larger discussion on all that stuff that we love, which is love, connecting, and how people connect in general.
Yeah. No, people, because it's my least favorite. I'll say favorite, sarcastically, is anytime we talk about someone in Bachelor Nation. Again, just so you know, the rules of this show are we discuss things that people in Bachelor Nation will platform themselves. If they put it on their social, if they promote it themselves, if they do an interview and say something, if they're seen out in public doing things that we can verify. We don't comment on rumors or speculation or I heard so-and-so. And because then it's
that's where it feels icky in your body, right?
Because
then
you're
already
playing
out there. It's sort of okay, people are talking about this.
They're
so
putting
let
it
me
out
talk
there,
about it
right?
too.
On some level, they are doing it. People they're dating or whatever, or people,
Right.
and then so we'll talk about it, and it's always there's always a handful of people who'll be like, why are you so obsessed with me? Or their fans will be like,
interesting.
there's this Venn. I'm like, I'm just fucking
I'm just commentating.
Stop doing stupid shit. And we won't
comment on it.
But that's what's so fun is that's why I can't wait for Teddi to come on, because you also give people the platform and the opportunity to sort of like say where they're coming
which is
from.
Why
which is why it's fun to play tennis like that.
And I do want to give Clayton a lot of credit because we have as a show been hard on him.
I've heard.
What?
No, I'm just saying I've heard
But it's more the casting, but he hasn't taken it personally. We've corresponded briefly via the DMs a little bit. And I give him a lot of credit because he seems like someone who doesn't seem to, he's doing a good job of not being the main character in his own story, which would be very easy to do for any lead of the show to do. And I give him a lot of credit for he understands that it's not like a personal thing, because, and it makes me really looking forward to get to know Clayton, the person, Clayton, the Bachelor, we're just commenting on what we see.
And I actually, Nick, I kind of agree with you as someone who, I worked on the show for 2.5 years, 7 seasons collectively, 5 of Bachelor, Bachelor in Paradise, Bachelorette, and then 2 spinoffs on Freeform. And I think when it was announced, I just want to say I agree with you, where I think when it comes to casting, we can see more dynamic people in that chair, right? But at the same time, I just want to remind people listening, for those of you that were born maybe around the same time I was born, it's sort of like, when it comes to reality television, it's sort of like The Hills in a way, where Lauren Conrad wasn't really dynamic. It was really everything going on around her. And at the end of the day, are we all deserving of love? I roll my eyes when I say that line. Yes, right? So of course, you want to put someone in the seat that's super rootable, and that's really exciting sometimes. But sometimes it's okay to have a Clayton, right? Because we are all deserving of this, and see and sort of watch and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean,
around him.
I think it's a really nice way of saying it, because you're right. I think, listen, this is a fun season so far. It's a mess, and Clayton is the vessel that's allowing us to have the mess take place.
100%.
We've talked about this before. Michelle, a very mature, and we learned a lot. And it was a masterclass on like how to date, in a messy world that is, 2022 with social media and access, and like the Bachelor's like this kind of hyperbolic chamber of those things.
Right.
And what a great way to watch someone like handle situations. Not necessarily the best TV.
100%. I agree with you.
And Clayton is the vessel that is giving us the juice.
Right.
So thank you.
He's the Lauren Conrad.
Yeah.
So thank you.
He's not saying no to drama. So we have
He's embracing the experience that he has signed up for and is in.
If you haven't heard of Martha Stewart and Marley Spoon, you need to, because it's changed my life. They have options of all taste, diets, lifestyles for every moment, including dinner, breakfast, and dessert. They have you covered. Martha Stewart and Marley Spoon are bringing you delicious meals that are, in fact, incredibly affordable, delicious, and convenient, and are designed to be ready in about 30 minutes with minimal cleanup afterwards. I think the minimal cleanup afterwards is probably key for many people. It's a meal kit that tastes like no other and is packed with 40 plus offerings each week, more than any other meal kit. Plus, the Viall listeners can sign up now to take advantage of this exclusive offer, $120 off Martha Stewart's favorite recipes. Ooh, their steakhouse burger meal. Whew, that's my favorite. If you're tired of grocery shopping and meal planning, sign up today at marleyspoon.com using code VIALL for $120 off your first 5 boxes. Once again, go to marleyspoon.com and use promo code VIALL to get $120 off and enjoy delicious meals from Martha Stewart every day of the week. So shall we get to the tea before Teddi calls in? Or is the best way to do this is to...
Teddi first?
Well, discuss
the Teddi situation.
What do you think of my take?
Okay, I love that you're asking me this question. Can you So you clarified a little bit. So
let's just read. Allie, can you go ahead and just read what?
Should we do a line reading? Do you want to be Clayton or Teddi?
Wait, that's so funny. Do a line reading and then give me your thoughts, and then I'll
be Clayton.
And tell me what I think.
All right. Ready?
Yeah. Now this is set the stage. Teddi has shown up. Teddi has told the America, Bachelor Nation, and producers that she is a virgin, and that if asked, and if she's feeling it, she's fully prepared to accept a key from Jesse Palmer. Insinuating that maybe this is the special moment she's been waiting for. She doesn't come out and say, I'm going to fuck, but she is teasing it, so to speak.
Well, she's ready.
She's whatever.
She's saying that she's ready.
And
Potentially.
And
if the guy's right and the
and
key's
maybe
right.
that was her most authentic moment, and maybe that was her being like, you know what might get me to final 3, being a virgin.
That's what Nick thinks.
But maybe, I don't know. Like, and then she got the first impression rose, and then she's on a group date. It's like an obstacle course of some kind with kids, and then we saw
it's always an obstacle.
Their
course.
only one-on-one time that they seemed to, the only one-on time they had between the time she got the first impression rose and the next time she saw Clayton.
Okay.
This is at the cocktail party, right after the commercial break.
Yeah.
Boom.
Boom. All right.
All right.
Wow, you guys set that up so nicely. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing you with other girls does make me really emotional. I don't think I was expecting it to be this intense because I'm just like, does he even still like me?
Well, if I just say this, I actually, inaudible.
I couldn't figure out what word he said.
Inaudible. I actually for you.
I actually
Mm.
burned for you.
I was actually yearning for you.
I was.
I burned
I'm
for
gonna.
you.
I actually burned for you. We don't know. We can't confirm he actually said that. Like, there's a reason I gave you the first impression rose. You don't have anything to be concerned about. You really don't. I love how you are progressing. He talks so clinically.
How we are
too.
progressing.
I
Yeah.
love how we are progressing.
He speaks
Progressing.
so clinically.
How are they? I mean,
It's day 2.
yeah.
No, but I agree with Nick. Like
Clayton's feeding into it.
Does
but-
anyone talk like this? Like on a I love
burn
how
for
we're
you.
progressed. No. Just like
All
I don't know.
Anyways, Teddy says,
keep going.
Okay.
and Clayton responds. And if we just focus on each other and don't worry about everything else that's going on outside of it, like, I think it can start to cloud your judgment and you can start to second guess classic Bachelor talk. It's
Definitely. Like, you are so different from other guys that I've dated, and I really feel like this could be something.
how is he different? I mean, I know she's not the first person to say that, but Clayton responds, absolutely.
So it would be such a bummer if I let the drama of the outside or my overthinking affect something that could be so good between us. I'm just going to need a lot of validation from you.
Okay, so
I see Teddy as an intelligent woman, and more intelligent people are more capable of being manipulative. I think even in healthy relationships, we can be manipulative at times.
okay. My thoughts. You're not wrong to be skeptical, right? None of us are wrong to be skeptical of anyone going on the show, post like Instagram having this like huge blast, right? Nick comes from a time on the show where social media wasn't as much of a factor. And as being someone who worked on it, it was so incredible to see genuine people plucked from obscurities of North America being brought on to genuinely want to find a person to procreate
Did
with.
you think, let me ask you,
Yeah.
around that time, what I always say, like, people, no one's come for just love, because that's insane. What people would come from, quote unquote, back in the day, like 5-6 years ago, before social media is what it is now, was for the experience with an open mind
Yes.
to find love
And travel.
and travel.
Yeah.
And now they've replaced with experience with building a platform,
Well, money. Just call it money.
and
Yeah.
then I guess love.
Right. And money, I guess, love instead of experience, life, soulful enrichment. Can you blame anyone? No.
And we don't blame anyone.
When I hear this conversation, I don't think it's manipulative. One, because I think we've gotten to a point where there's so much muddiness and messiness when it comes to love and relationships because people are not clear. There's so much like guessing. And if this woman is going to sit and say, hey, like this is a feeling that's arising in my body, none of us can say whether or not he is different from other guys. Maybe he is different from other guys that she's met, and I don't know where she's from. Do we know where she's from?
I mean, the only thing she could like actually be going off of is like his appearance and her guessing.
Or spark, Nick. Like we can't deny that there are instances in life where people meet someone that they've never met before and they feel lit up.
Wouldn't the
Megan
more
Fox, MGK,
wouldn't the
Ashley
more
I, Jared Haben. Like it doesn't happen to everyone. And it's really sad because I think all of us strive for that. But I think there are moments where sometimes you just get lit up inside by seeing someone and being around them.
Hold on, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the more honest response be then, I feel something different than I ever have felt with anyone else. No, she doesn't say that. She says, you're so different. She talks about Clayton, the person, the qualities he's bringing to the table. Now, maybe it could be just straight up physical. Like, I've only dated guys who are 5'7" with blonde straight hair. And she's like, you're literally different than it. I've never dated someone 6'3" who's your size with curly hair. It could be that. We don't know.
Totally. But then we're getting caught up on words and semantics when you have no phone, you're around from everyone you know in the world. You're living in a house with 20 people you don't know. You're going after one guy everyone else is going with. It is literally the perfect storm and scenario for all the triggers in life to come up, right? Mm-hmm. The one thing I hate about this conversation is the last thing she says, where she says, I'm just going to need a lot of validation from you. And I'm just like, man, like, as women, can we just get together, as anyone? Can we just get together and say it's 2022? Like, you need to be in alignment with yourself. You cannot be okay if this guy texts back and says he wants to build a future with you. And only in that reality can you be okay. And I think in this scenario, like I said, this is an incredible show for all of us to witness and watch. It's the ultimate social experiment. There's a reason it's been on television over, 15, 17 years now. We would always say, and when we were together as people making the show, like, we've been making the show for years, the same show for years. And the reason why people are interested in it is for this exact reason. It's for those triggers that come up. And I just wish Teddi would say to herself, like, I know these triggers are going to come up. I'm feeling something for this guy, but you don't need validation from him. You need to know that you're in a scenario where he is potentially open to being with someone else, but you are okay being you, and you need to potentially be okay with whether or not he's with you or not at the end. That's my opinion. But I don't think it's manipulative to say this is what's coming up in my body for me. I think it's actually being very clear. And I wish a lot of people would do that in real life. It's a reason why I've been single for a very long time.
Listen, it's a fine line. Everything you're saying is true, and I guess I agree with. It just depends. It's just a matter of opinion of what her words. Like, I'm basing this on the assumption that she, having been on her side of things, like, I know the emotions that again, having a first impression rose, and I'm basing it on what I think she seems to be. I don't know. From what the little bit I can tell, she seems like that's an intelligent person, in tune with herself. It takes a lot for, in this day and age, everything she's given us the information is like, I'm not a virgin because I'm religious. I'm not a virgin. I've set boundaries for myself, and I've enforced those boundaries, and this is where it's led me. Like, so there's a sign of like self-awareness and a kind of almost goes against the grain of what you say, that what she said. I need that validation, because it could be manipulative if what she is getting a guy she's one of 30,
right,
or one of 23 now, or whatever the number is.
Yeah, 20 to 30.
And she's competing.
Right.
And she has been able to have a conversation where she says, I need something from you because you like me. I know that because you gave me the first impression,
Rose.
Ding,
ding, ding. We have finally aligned, and I agree with you with where that is somewhat manipulative.
I think that's manipulation.
I think we just came together in our arguments, and 100%. I think that's when you are being somewhat manipulative to another person, right? I need you to do this in order for me to be okay. Yeah. But I do want to applaud her, and I think more people need to just say how they're feeling in the moment. I don't know, I look back at my life, Nick.
Except when sometimes the problem, it's tough because often we use our feelings to manipulate in relationships. Mm-hmm. Because what do you say to someone in a relationship when they tell you, but that's how I feel? And you're just like, okay, I want to respect that. I want to honor that. I want to, right. But what if you're using people use their feelings, men and women.
Right.
And again, it's a fine line. We're getting into the weeds a little bit here because every day I think couples can do that. And again, sometimes Nally and I will like laugh how there's a mental kind of gymnastics. I think we also like that we have because we challenge each other. But sometimes with an intelligence level, and Nally's like, but you make it so much better than me. So like, we both know she's just feeling lazy.
Yeah.
Anytime when one of us is manipulative because like we're feeling lazy, I think we know what's going on. And it's kind of fun. When sometimes if you're being manipulative in the heat of the motion, in the heat of the moment, it can feel
Right.
wrong.
And at the end of the day, I think you're absolutely right, Nick. I think at the end of the day, it's, are you being responsible for your own emotions and feelings?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I am feeling this, or it's in most cases, it's a thought, actually, not a feeling.
Yeah.
I thought you meant this by doing this, and I feel that way because of this, but this is what I'm going to do about it, you know?
All right. I think Teddy's coming. Teddi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's the first time we've done something like this, because usually we'll do like long form interviews and like we won't have like current cast like kind of calling for a quick chat.
I would be really honored if I didn't listen to the last podcast episode.
Well, I'll tell you what, Teddi.
I'm just going to sit here and stuck in the awkwardness. This is amazing.
The fact that you have and you are here with us today really, really makes me appreciate you that much more. And we are like, I don't know if you only listened to the last one. I'm sure it was like a cousin or a friend or a sister. Like, you have to listen to the next one, because it's always shit like that. We're all fans of you here on this show, Teddi. Just to be clear.
So I listened to the first episode because my sister, who's happily married with 2 children, is in love with you.
Oh, well, tell her I said hi.
So she listened to the first one, was like, you have to listen to it. He really likes you. So I listened to that one. Then I was like, I'm just going to end on a good note with Nick, and I'm not going to listen to any more.
That's probably smart.
And then I got tagged in a bunch of stuff, and then I listened to the next one. So
and so that's why we wanted to have you on. We wanted to give you the floor. And I hope you, and I hope you know this, but like, we are commenting on your character on the show. And we just recognize that it's a TV show and you have limited control, and sometimes there's music or whatever. That being said, yes, you are aware of the fact that when it came to what you said to Clayton, I was like, I think that's being a little manipulative. Now, we preface it by saying, in relationships of all kinds, even the healthy ones, we can sometimes be manipulative. Natalie and I, my girlfriend, we joked about it this week, and we sometimes will say things where I'm like, I know what you're trying to do. I know what you're trying to do. So it's all in jest. But well, you listened to it, and you heard my comments. So I will just give you the floor. Do you completely disagree with me? Do you see what I'm saying? And I think part of it is because I'm like, here's this woman. We see her for the first time. She's like, hey, Bachelor Nation, I'm a virgin. And just a heads up, if Clayton's down, I am down for the fantasy suite. I'm like, this person knows how to get to the finals. It seemed like she knows the assignment, and so far she's acing the test. And that was my takeaway. So now the floor is yours, Teddi.
I think you're giving me a lot more credit than I deserve. You said a lot in the last podcast that I'm very emotionally intelligent, and I do appreciate that. But I think for me, I really wasn't trying to be manipulative at all. I truly was just insecure. Okay. I think like coming off of that first day, I did seem really confident. And I remember watching it back and being like, wow, I looked a lot more confident than I was feeling in that moment. So I can see how going from that first night and then the complete next day being like, oh, I don't think you like me. Like, I can see why it looked like this must not be her, because we just saw the day before and I looked like I was like running the show, but I really was insecure, and everything is just so compacted in that house, and like things move really quickly. So I was emotional, and I know it was really early, but I did really like him really quickly. In past relationships, I think, I
don't know.
I think in past relationships, I've tried to like say things way too late, and then it ended up like causing issues. And I just wanted to, in this relationship, I wanted to make it clear really early on what I needed, because I really was there to get married. And I wanted him to know early on what I needed, so that I didn't like pull back and end up ruining something and then having to watch it on national television, realizing that I ruined it.
Fuck yes, Teddi. That is exactly, that was my thought. I used to work on the show, just so you know. And that was my thoughts to Nick, is I said, I love the clarity that you have. And there's so many people out there in life putting out so much messiness. And for something to come up in your body and for you to say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. And you even said too, I know you're right. Like, I shouldn't let the drama outside of this, but you were very authentic and aligned with who you are.
You said to Clayton in that moment, the kind of cliche, you're like you're so different than all the other guys I've dated. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know how long you're on for. I don't know. I'm sure you got to know Clayton, but in that moment, if you could go back to that moment, that was your second conversation. What specifically did you mean about him, not a feeling that was different than other guys that you had met? Or looking back, was that just something you just might have said out of nervousness?
The relationships that I had prior to Clayton were pretty toxic. And like, I get into that more as the season progresses. It was all about kind of just, for me, I grew up and saw a specific type of relationship, and it was seeing arguments and that kind of associating with passion. So I think growing up, I was in relationships where I thought I needed to argue a lot with someone to like get that passion. And that's what love really was. And I saw really early on with Clayton that I felt chemistry and I felt passion with him, but he was very calm and he never really needed to argue. And again, I know it was really early, but even like in that conversation, in the past, it would have been taken more of him thinking that he was doing something wrong and just being like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I think I'm acting fine. But he always took conversations with me very much so like, okay, what can I do to improve? Like what can I do to help you feel safer in this experience? So I think early on, I realized with him that he didn't have to fight and we didn't have to argue for me to still feel passion with him.
Okay.
Made you feel safe.
Great answer.
Yeah.
All right, Naz, the floor is yours.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Nick, but the one line that I think Nick and I were sort of in agreement with, and I just want your opinion on, is how do you feel about when you said, I'm just going to need a lot of validation from you?
Yeah, I believe that. And I say that in relationships always, especially early on. I can be insecure. And again, like there's a lot of things that you'll see me more explain later on as time goes on as to why my childhood has kind of impacted the way that I am in relationships. But because of that, I do need a lot of validation and feeling safe with a man and feeling like they are going to stay with me and stay in the relationship, even when time gets hard. So I think like going on that first group date, I mean, we went from that first night where I literally thought it was just me and him there, which I know is silly, but like the way he was talking to me, I felt like, oh, wow, it's really just us throughout this whole process. So then going to a group date where, you know, we see a lot of him talking to Cassidy the whole time and like him not really even looking at me that much, I was just like, oh, whoa, like this is going to be hard for me. And I felt like, yeah, I'm going to need a lot of validation here, probably more than I would in like the normal world. So yeah, I hold strong to me saying I'm going to need validation.
All right. So that's interesting. I'm glad you said that. Now, I'm thinking about her answer, Naz, and I'm like, we're weirdly talking about you while you're listening.
This is so meta right now, as people are watching you on a show on their small screens.
I know, right?
But Teddi makes a good point. And I don't know, Teddi, we talk a lot, our other formats on this show, we talk a lot of relationships and dating and things like that. So it's intertwined. So thanks for indulging us. I think in every relationship, it's valid to want and seek validation in the relationship. Naz had, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Naz, took exception with that moment in which you asked for validation, because I think a lot of people, men and women, but oftentimes women make the mistake early on in dating situations. And advice I'll often give to our people who call in was, you're spending more time early on, someone you just met, of trying to get them to like you rather than figuring out first if you like them. And then therefore you are solely focused on getting validation from them as opposed to primarily focusing on, especially early on in your first couple of conversations, ideally both people are doing this, and saying, well, what did I like about this? What questions do I want to ask this person? What follow-up questions? And oftentimes early on, and I think we can agree that it was early on when you talked to Clayton, that you were primarily focused on telling him that you just needed it. It's like you were giving away your power by just saying, all I really need is validation. And I'm like, I'm yours.
And I'm okay.
And Nick, I'm okay.
Totally.
And Nick, you don't know this but in my own personal dating life, Nick really, he came on my podcast with Ashley I one day. I don't get it. And you said, but do you really like him? Like that was always a question that Nick would say. And I think it's like such an important thing to remember. And I think for me, Teddi, it was just, I think when people are in alignment, it's not like, I'm not going to be okay unless you do this, right? Like, unless you text me every morning, then I'm going to be okay. And to me, I'm like, no, let's be responsible for our own feelings. Let's be okay whether or not someone does something or not. And so when he brought up the word manipulative, I was like, oh, I can see how that line, I'm going to need a lot of validation from you, puts your okayness and your well-being in Clayton's hands when the cards are kind of stacked against you with what Nick was saying too, where it's like, you're in this game too. Like, do you like him? But it's hard to remember that when you're in this house with like 30 people and everyone's vying. You're like, it's almost like you're a horse that's in the race, but you're like, oh wait, I don't need to be running.
Totally.
Like, I can just figure out if I want to be on this track or not.
Yeah. But I mean, in fairness to Teddi, it's fast forward pretty quickly.
Right.
I hope we're not like lecturing you too. But I love Teddi that you were like, yeah, no, I that's how I feel in relationships. And there is, in relationships, you need validation.
100%. And you're so good at being aware of what you need, which I think is also amazing too, right? You're like, I'm going to need a guy that's going to do this for me, and I'm not going to take any less than that. And I think where it gets messy is when people are like, when you're like a rat in the corner trying to just get scraps from any guy, right? Where you're like, oh, whatever. Like, he looked at me yesterday, so it's fine. So I'll hold on to this little hope. When it's like, no, you're famished. Nourish yourself with someone that's going to feed you every day, whether you have to ask him for it or not.
Yeah.
All right. Teddi, we're going to play a fun game with you, if that's okay with you. Before we do we have any like the low-hanging fruit? Like, who do you hate the most in the house? Like, who, like, of all the women after night one, that someone's like, it would be not that you dislike them, because you, Teddi, I don't know you, but you don't have hate in your heart. You know, I'm just.
Totally.
But
I'm just an angel. I'm glad you see that.
You don't have hate in your heart.
But that being said, if there were like, who would be the three women that, like, if you had to have a whole dinner with, appetizer, meal, drinks, dessert, that would just be hard for you to endure? Just, and maybe that's a you thing too. It's just like, it's just you're not compatible. What three women would be difficult for you to get through an entire meal of food with one-on-one?
In my sorority, we would say, who would you not share a pillow with?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. I don't think I could say three.
Okay, we'll take one.
Okay. Let me think about this. Nick, I thought it was going to be a drama-free one. I was hoping just for an apology. I love you so much, Teddi. And then
You have not been listening to the show. We do love you, Teddi.
One might say Nick is being manipulative.
100%.
Thank you so much.
We do love you, Teddi.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm just sucking around.
Okay. I probably would not get a meal with Shanae. We will see more of her as time goes on.
Shanae.
Would you? Why would you get a meal with Shanae?
I'm sorry. I was thinking of some. I'm sorry. I'm still learning. Yes, Shanae would be tough.
I would bring...
You know who did I think you were saying when you said that? I thought you were talking about Serene.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no, love Serene.
Okay.
We love her. Yeah.
Everyone in unison. We love Serene.
All right. So Shanae. Okay.
I love that.
Anyone else? Because that's like low-hanging fruit.
It really is just Shanae.
Okay.
I'll bring Rachel with me because she's my best friend, and we'll just go to
What
dinner
about
with her.
Cassidy, though? What about Cassidy?
Yeah, what about Cassidy?
Not much to say with her. I probably want to get a meal with her.
Problematic.
I feel like they kind of go hand in hand,
Yeah.
Cassidy and
They
Shanae.
Is there someone you connected with in the house you were surprised to connect with?
Oh, I think like I just didn't realize you really become best friends. And I see why people in Bachelor Nation all hang out, because it really is just like this unique experience. So I made so many friends that I truly feel like I will have forever because of that.
All right. And one more question. I'm trying to phrase this in a way that you would be allowed to answer, because I know you can't give anything away. Regardless if you go home next episode or you are now engaged to Clayton, if at any point did you potentially regret telling America that you were like, where you were like, I don't know if I would go to the fantasy suite. I know I said that, but I don't know. Did that ever happen?
I never regretted saying that I was a virgin. And I never will regret like talking about fantasy suites, potentially going. I I am not like a stereotypical virgin. I am very open and honest about sex. And like, I am a sexual person. I just had a boundary in college that I no longer agree with. So no, like I never will regret that experience or anything about that.
I love how much you know
She
yourself.
didn't really answer the question.
Oh, come on. Just let her go.
What?
Let her off the
No,
hook.
she said she doesn't regret it.
No. It was just more. It was more the whether she was willing to go to the fantasy suite. That was more the question. Of course,
got it.
yeah. And I love that you articulated about the boundary. Are you able to share what that boundary was that you no longer agree with?
So I grew up in a Christian household. I've gone to Christian schools up until graduating college. So for me, it was always just waiting until marriage for sex. I basically have done everything before that line. And then I think when I graduated college, I just kind of looked back at all of my beliefs. And that was kind of the one I always went back to. Am I actually doing this because I believe it's making me a better person? It's going to be something for my husband, or am I doing it because there's a lot of shame with women to feel like they need to wait because it will change their identity as a person? And for me, I just felt like I was doing it because of it was such my identity. And I just don't think that's a good enough reason. So yeah, that's why I do not regret feeling like I wanted to go to fantasy suites. And because if you get to that point, you're usually in love with the man. So if I go to fantasy suites, it's because I'm in love, and you can't regret that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that very thoughtful answer. All right. Before we let you go, it's called a game we just made up. Is blank.
It's called a game we just made up.
A game.
Is
You just
blank.
made up.
Is blank manipulative? So it's just scenarios, and then we want your take on whether you think it's manipulative or not. Is asking your partner to cook a meal for you, like toast, is asking your partner to cook you make you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or whatever your favorite sandwich is, and you tell them because you make it so much better than me, manipulative. Keep in mind, it's peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, but is that true? Maybe they spread out the peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, I think that it's you're feeling a little lazy. You're comfortable. You're washing your face. You is on. You're whatever. And you could go for a snack, and they're sitting next to you, also comfortable. And you're like, I could really go for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich right now. And you're like, babe, you just make it so much better than me. Is that manipulative?
If he actually makes it better, then no. But if it's just because I'm lazy and I'm using that as an excuse, then I guess so.
Yeah. It's something we all do.
What's a moment that you've done this?
Yeah. He's excusing calling me a manipulator by these questions, I feel.
When's a moment you've done that, Nick?
Well, I apologize for saying you are manipulative. I should have said I thought you were being manipulative in that moment because I don't know you if you.
When I listened to the actual episode, I feel like it actually made more sense. It was just that like one line.
Of course. That's how this works, Teddi.
It was a good one-liner, Nick.
Yeah. You take a picture, scenario number 2, you take a picture with your partner. They like it and want to post. But you like another picture better. And you convince them to use the one you like because you tell them that you don't think it's their best picture of themselves. Is that being manipulative?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's get Natalie on the phone right now.
I know. I kind of want to
Of
call
course it
Natalie.
is. Of course it is.
Did Natalie say, did she agree?
Yes.
Okay.
We laugh when we were going to last night, it was late afternoon, and I was like, we both were like, we should go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
And she definitely didn't want to go. And I first she was saying something in a way. I'm like, if this is you trying to have me go by myself, I'm not going. And she starts laughing.
What was she saying though?
What was she saying? She's just like, I forgot. But then I said to her abruptly, you know what? It's cool. I'm going to go by myself. And me saying it so you know what? Actually, I sounded like I prefer to go by myself.
Right.
She immediately was like, well, wait, why do you want to go by yourself? And then I got her to go with me. And that's
Wow.
manipulative by definition.
So manipulative. And that
She
was an
totally
incredible
knew what I was
example.
doing.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're aware, it's like it's a fun, playful thing.
So
would you
funny.
agree if that's manipulative, Teddi?
Yes, I agree.
Oh, have you ever faked? Has anyone in this room faked a stomachache or headache when they didn't want to do something in a relationship
A stomachache or
a headache?
No.
In like a friendship, maybe.
Teddy was nodding.
Yeah.
You've never with a
before
guy you've been
really-
dating been like, I'm sorry, I just have.
You forget like my relationships are like 8 weeks long.
I
So
know,
no.
Same.
Or a friendship. Have you ever done with friends?
Yeah,
'Cause you'd be-
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's literally living in LA. It's like, oh, like my friend was asking me to hang out 2 weeks from now. And I was like, oh, I actually plan on getting COVID that weekend. Like, sorry.
Oh my God.
You just come up with any reason to get out of anything. 100%. And I'm just kidding. I didn't mean to joke about COVID that lately. No, it's a serious thing. We're all dealing with here. But maybe a stomachache, I would have said.
One final one. I think we get the gist of it all. They're all kind of potentially. It's a trick quiz. It's a trick game.
I think the
They
through
all are.
line of the incidents with Teddi and Clayton, though, and all of these examples, which I agree with Teddi on, is if the emotion is genuine and real and you're
Sure.
sharing that,
Of course.
then it's not.
It's not.
We're all, and then
Totally.
we were here debating whether we
Mhm.
thought Teddy's emotions were in fact real.
when it's like it's up to her
Yeah.
whether or not
We-
they're real, not
and-
us.
That's why we have a silly podcast to break it all down.
Yeah.
Teddi, we are excited to watch your journey continue, and we all are fans of you on this show,
Thank
and we're
you.
rooting for you, and whatever that means. Maybe the next Bachelorette.
100%.
Would if you don't win Clayton's heart and you don't become the next Bachelorette, do you see yourself in paradise?
If I am not with someone right now, then I think you should never say never when it comes to The Bachelor. I like totally believe in this experience and I believe that you can find love. So never say never.
All right. One more question.
I
Sorry.
loved her
What's one
answer.
thing you've learned about yourself from going on this show
Yes.
that surprised you?
That's what I wanted to know too.
Yeah. I think for me, I realized different ways that I like defense mechanisms. I think just like the biggest thing for me was learning to be open really early. And even just being open to love. I think I always wanted to find the right moment to say things to him. And I realized you just kind of have to make the moment the right moment. So when you feel like you love someone, say it. And when you know, anything that you want to say it in the moment. So I think for me, I just like grew a lot in realizing that there's a lot more bravery in being vulnerable than pretending like you're okay all the time.
God, I love
Love
what you
that.
just said
Yeah.
so much because I think one thing I struggle with is knowing when is that moment to say how you feel, right? Because so
Totally.
many people will be like, it's too soon. You're gonna like you're putting on way too much. Like it's the beginning. And that's technically that was like an underlying thing maybe a lot of people felt watching you, right? They're like, oh, it's
Totally.
episode whatever. Like we're so early on into this. Is that real? And it's like, when is that right moment? So I love what you said. There is no right moment. You have to create
Yeah.
that right moment for yourself and you have to honor yourself and like going through with that. And it is, why do we not want to do it? We're just scared of this little feeling called rejection, which is so
Well,
silly.
there's
And
that. I'll
it's
tell
a
you-
part of life. Like that's it.
Totally.
That's all we're scared
I'll
of.
also tell you why people want to do it. In addition to rejection, they are afraid of their peers, whether it's their friend group or their family or their community or viewers at home.
Embarrassment, shame.
Of judging them for having failure or having exes and things like that. We do
Right.
that. And I do love your answer, Teddi, because I do think, it's a positive that a lot of people, who go on the show and experience this like crazy thing that we do,
Mhm.
because you do go in kind of guarded and, vulnerability. But for the people who are lucky enough to develop feelings and say it, and there's a lot of judgment that comes with it. And, whether it's me saying, oh, she's acting manipulative, or some other fan being like, oh, you didn't really like them, or how could you?
Mhm.
And like with my relationships with the women I met on the show,
Mhm.
it's not the same as relationships I've had outside of the show.
No.
And it's a different type of, but I've never regretted it. And I think it teaches a lot of people who go on the show the ability to be like, fuck it. Like I felt it in that moment. I felt what I felt, and I might look at it differently in the future. And I'm not comparing it to anything else, but
Yeah.
like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ashamed for just putting it out there. And I think that's it kind of makes you, it's a possibility for people like Teddi or myself who have gone on the show.
Mhm.
If you lean into that, it does stay with you to be like, you're a little bit more braver when it comes to love and relationships,
You're
I think.
leading with vulnerability, and from being on the other side of it, right? Being someone that gets to, I mean, I got to ask people about love and heartbreak for 2.5 years, and it's so much fun. And to be in an environment where you feel safe to actually say how you feel, it really does teach people to lead with vulnerability. And I know people watch the show and we joke, right? And The Bachelor in some ways become a parody of itself. But it's exactly what you said, Teddi, when he asked you about Paradise. You said any experience with The Bachelor I would do. And when people come up to me and they, they're like, is it scripted? Or like, and I'm like, The Bachelor today in this age, and I stand by this, is the best way to meet someone, is someone who is single and is dating now. Because the person walks out of a limo, and you know this, Nick, because you were The Bachelor, and you don't know their name, you don't know their age, you don't know how much money they make, you don't know if they have kids. And these days we have a dossier on who people are. We look them up on Instagram. We know who their friends are. We know where their freaking mom works. Totally. We know what their boss thinks of them on LinkedIn. And you create this preconceived notion. And so every day, every time, I will stand behind the show on being an incredible self-journey experience into discovery of the self and what you like and what you don't like. And it's just the ultimate act in bravery and vulnerability, I think, to like try and like someone in front of the masses and be subjected to stuff like this,
Yeah, completely agree.
Well, Teddi, thank you for being such a fun and good sport. We really appreciate it, and we'll try to be protective of Team Teddi going forward.
Teddi for Bachelorette,
but just don't fuck up. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure you'll be great, and I'm sure you'll get more praise than criticism. And none of the thing you hear on the show, I wouldn't take all that seriously. When it comes to the recaps, any final thoughts? Anything you want your moment? Anything you want to say before we let you go?
No, I feel like we covered it. Thank you guys so much. Yeah. And thank you to all the women, because you guys were all backing me up in the last podcast. I heard it. So.
Yes. Teddi, if you're ever in LA, let's go get pasta.
I would love that. DM me. I would love that.
Okay. All right. We're going to be friends.
All right, Teddi. Thanks so much. Best of luck. We are excited to watch you and your journey unfold. And we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you, guys.
All right, take care. All right,
nice meeting you.
Loved it. What a lovely human.
Lovely indeed.
I genuinely want to be her friend.
I know.
I want to hang out with her.
She seems delightful.
Honestly, to go back to what we were saying in the very beginning, dynamic casting right there. Like, I want to see Teddi find love.
She's an amazing.
If she's not already with someone.
An amazing cast for a variety of different reasons.
That's what's so interesting about Bachelor is you get to watch yourself how you felt in every moment. When I go on like a date with a guy, I'll journal like the first 3 dates. And it's so funny to see what I thought about that person after date 1 as opposed to what I thought about them after date 3. And that's why when people ask me all the time, do they pick? Do they know who's going to win? Like these are questions I've been asked my whole life. And I'm like, absolutely not, because you can kiss someone and immediately not like them anymore. Like it is that capricious. And so there's no way of...
Capricious?
Capricious.
Definition, please.
Unpredictable, like the rain.
Okay.
Like you just don't know. You just don't know. And that's what's so damn cool about feelings and love and this whole space.
All right. Well, I think we've covered the Teddi.
We've covered the Teddi.
We covered the Teddi.
The Teddi talk.
The Teddi
topic.
Oh, I like Teddi talk.
Oh, well, there you go. That's going to be Teddi's new podcast name in about a year and a half. Teddi Talk.
Can we get 2% commission off?
Yeah.
Thanks.
What else?
You get pasta with her.
What else we got in Bachelor world?
Shall we begin our tea?
Our journey.
Now that we're done with our Teddi talk, Nicholas, would you like to say anything about Clint?
Yeah. I mean, sad. You actually got to know Clint a little bit, did you not?
I did. So my first season was Caitlin Bristow's season. That's where I met you. And I actually took to JJ and Clint like
the bromance
a lot. Yeah. And I was one of the producers in there that spoke to them a lot, interviewed them a lot. And Clint was someone who was I'll tell you this much. I would talk to him about architecture and stuff and design. And you know how some cast members bring gifts for the Bachelor, Bachelorette? I remember and I don't want to say something that isn't right because I don't quite remember, but I knew what he had drawn something for Caitlin that was so elaborate.
He drew a picture of Chris Harrison on a Triceratops dinosaur.
Yes, thank you for remembering that.
It was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal. And I remember
I'm good
thinking,
at art.
This guy
he is next level.
100%, but not even that. Just to think of that, like, you see guys and people every day. And I was like, there's something about this guy. He's so cool. He has such an imaginative brain. And his bromance with JJ was so lively and it just warmed my heart that my heart goes out and thoughts and prayers to his family because gone too soon
He
doesn't
was
even begin to explain how I feel.
A unique guy. I didn't meet him because he left and I showed up. I always wondered if like they knew I was coming and like it's almost like the producers let the drama unfold with Clint and JJ fashion they might have otherwise would if I wasn't coming. Because it was just like, why like after I met Clint after filming, I was like, this guy should have been on longer. Like I think Caitlin like liked him and I don't know. But yeah, I got a call from Ben and he told me that Clint had passed and super tragic, but yeah, a really unique guy. I really enjoy. I hung out with him like twice a long time ago. I haven't had any communication with him in years, but once in a while, you meet people on the show that don't seem to fit the mold of the typical person they cast on the show. And
He had a very high intellect.
That's not necessarily meant to be a good or a bad thing, but Clint was definitely very unique, and you knew he was. I found him really fascinating and interesting, and it's really sad.
So sad.
Prayers to his family.
Yeah. Man. All right. Clayton's women have been popping up on my Instagram and doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah. What's
Should we get into our favorite, Miss Cassidy?
Yeah, then she like posted a video I saw.
Yes, she did. On her Instagram story.
You were going to give her a rose even though she was engaged last week. Meanwhile, I fucked someone a few months ago and I got sent home. Okay, no, it's cool. No, I get it. I get what we're made of here. I get the stuff that's happening. And go fuck yourself, Clayton Ecker.
Whoa.
She has since taken it down. I mean, whatever.
It's hard.
She took it down, but Nick was too fast.
Guys, wow, Nick, are you just like screen? Are you
No,
just watching everyone's story screen recording just in case?
It was all over TikTok.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
It's hard to know because we don't know how anything plays out, and I feel like this was kind of somewhat spoilery in a way,
it was,
which I have no room for because I cover television and film, and there's nothing I dislike more than someone who spoils something.
I mean, it ended on a cliffhanger of like, is he going to send her home? We all knew he was going to send her home, so I wouldn't say it's the biggest spoiler. Like,
but we didn't know how.
Cassidy didn't win.
But we didn't know how, Nick. Or why, I guess I should say.
He's going to ask her about it. She's going to give a bizarre answer. Probably try to make it feel like he did something wrong. I don't know.
At the end,
what she seems like in that video, though, is that she seems to be trying to low-key accuse him of slut-shaming her in a way.
Potentially. I mean, that's what I'm saying is it's hard to have any opinion on this because we don't exactly know how this plays out. It seems like she's somewhat trying to get ahead of something. But I will tell you.
Well, she's referencing, in case you forgot, episode 1 where Sally.
I was just going to say.
Sally was engaged and
right.
Clayton was just like, please stay. I mean, he tried to give her a rose. He didn't bag, but he was emphatic that he wanted her to stay. Even though she was like, I had a fiance a couple months ago. I was supposed to get married today. And we gave Clayton a hard time for not being, having the self-awareness that person, it would almost be impossible for them to have the emotional availability to get engaged.
The openness.
And yet he was begging her to stay. But she's making this comparison. And
well, she's clearly upset, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people found out about Sally that did, obviously they found out in real time. The world found out now. As someone who's been on the other side of the, I want to say, quote unquote, exception to some rules, you came on in the middle of the season, right? Which isn't like traditional. It's not like standard. So for someone like Sally, can't you understand how other people would maybe potentially be really triggered and upset by that and maybe feel
that's Sally?
Maybe feel just like, I don't want to, what's the word? Like how it was just not fair in a way.
Well, I hate the word fair as it relates to the Bachelor. I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, Sally was going to get criticized no matter what, right?
Right.
I think she recognized that having shown up and sat in her hotel room for 4 days and waited around while she met a handful of producers and talked about what she wanted to do getting on the limo. But as bizarre as it was, I gave her credit for at least being like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
and she at least recognized that, where Cassidy, she was caught with her hand in the cookie jar telling this story to another castmate, mic'd up. Then we all know how quickly cast forgets they're mic'd, right? Whispering, thinking she's saying in confidence when it's not. She got called out by her castmate, and it's obviously also on video, so we saw it. It's not even hearsay. And the context was completely different. Context matters, Context is like whether Clayton was, the way I watch Sally is, man, she's a mess right now, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
She should have been engaged. I mean, that would mess with anyone. And then she goes on the show, and like maybe her expectations of what she hoped she was getting from going on the show. Like, we've all done that. We've all reacted and kind of gone on a rabbit hole of maybe like not awesome decisions for our like well-being, and like she like.
Especially from that heartbroken space, right?
And,
like maybe this will help me move on.
Yeah.
Maybe this is my journey.
And she seemed to recognize that and tried to recuse herself, where Cassidy was seemingly like maintaining this hookup situation. Sally seemed to be authentic. At least it comes across as, I don't know why I'm doing this. Maybe it'll just help me forget about my relationship. And maybe she literally broke up with her fiance for followers. Maybe Sally isn't as righteous as we want to believe. We don't have the answer. But Cassidy, her excuse is everyone does this. Of course, and I don't fault Cassidy for going on the show and like not thinking that there's a good chance she's not going to fall for Clayton. That's normal. It's just the fact that she probably did, and I bet Cassidy's not the only one, but what Cassidy has proven is that she's sloppy as fuck. She is. She's sloppy with her words. She's sloppy with her intentions. She's sloppy with she had a hookup, and you're not supposed to do that. But then she was sloppy by talking about it, and just and that's not honest. That's just sloppy. And you know what I'm saying? And if you're gonna go on this show, even though it's almost impossible to be quote unquote genuine because of all the other pressures that come with, then you just try to do your best. Then you might say to your hookup buddy, I'm doing this. We need to stop this. And yeah, there's a good chance I'm not going to fall in love with this guy, and we'll see what happens. But right now, like, you need to go do your thing because I'm going to go do this thing, and there's a clean break. That's the mature way of handling that. And there's a very big difference between that and what a lot of people do in dating situations is they hedge their bets. Even when we break up with our situationships or we break up with our boyfriend and girlfriends, and we're just like, we're unsure of our own choices.
Right.
And as a result, we're like, well, in case this choice is wrong, I'm going to like just make sure that they're still over there. And I'll say all the things so that they wait, not so that they, and maybe Sally did that with her fiance. We don't know. And that's where the criticism for,
playing.
It's manipulative.
Because there's
your fate. It's the word of the day. We should have had a drinking game with that word.
Yeah.
This podcast.
Oof.
So
it's 10:45.
that's where we're criticizing.
Yeah.
Because there's also the layer of the whole story was she had a friends with benefits at home, and it was going to continue. Like, he was basically going to be waiting for her. And he had told Cassidy, when you're back, we'll watch the show together. Like, they were planning on continuing this once she was back.
She was actively trying to hedge her bet. And then I really don't appreciate this video because
so that's where the confusion lies, is why is there so much anger behind it?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I can understand
someone breaking off an engagement and clearly being super upset about it, not knowing if she should stay because she's not ready, versus someone who has a guy in the wings that she's going to watch the show with when she gets home. To me, feels very different.
It sounds like when I was little and my parents would withhold things from me, and I would say, but Chris, like, I would blame it on like my little brother when like he had nothing to do with me. He was like in the corner of the room doing nothing. And I'd be like, but you let him, watch TV after 5 or whatever it is. And it's just really her being angry and potentially confused over this thing that hopefully we get more answers on. And now, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, this just made everyone more eager to see like how it actually plays out. So it worked.
I don't love how Cassie put that video out, and it seemed like her intention was to rally some supporters in hopes that people would think that Clayton was
I don't
suggesting
like
that he was
you, Clayton,
like almost like there's an implication that you're judging my choices for having sex. Where we will see next week how, to your point, how he's sent home.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and guess, and I hope that it had nothing to do with him judging whether she was having sex or not at all, or the timing in which, but that she was trying to maintain
that narrative,
a relationship with this person, all while claiming that she is open and ready for love.
I think we also need to remember that sometimes you're just like not someone's person, and maybe we just need, as humans, we need an answer and an excuse. And it's possible that maybe he just didn't see a future. and that was an easy out, right? Like sometimes we get easy outs, right?
The truth is,
or we find them.
The truth is, that's most of the reasons why people go home on The Bachelor. It's not because of the thing that happened. It's because he or she already wasn't going to pick him. And
as Americans, we need answers.
We needed answers.
We need a reason.
There's your answer. And it's a TV show. What else we got, Allie?
Some other ladies from Clayton's season. Haley, who went home night 1, went to Peter's book party. Our good friend Peter.
Does she live in New York?
I don't know. But she had this caption.
That's
she was saying,
because
so happy for you, friend.
If she lives in New York.
Can I just stop? Guys, Nick is so, like, what is the word? Not attention to detail is who you are. Because it is all in like did she fly there to go, or did she take the subway for 10 minutes to go to a book party and take a picture?
It's a totally different conversation.
So right, Nick. You're so right. Do we know where she lives?
Well, her bio says full-time pediatric RN, part-time world traveler.
Oh, she's a world traveler.
She's a world traveler.
I can't wait till I'm a part-time world traveler.
Same.
Night 1 it's random. So definitely didn't live up to her expectations. A bummer. She's making most of this Bachelor experience by like
staying relevant on social.
And I mean, Peter's
Peter's
the Bachelor you want to go to become friends with in hopes that he might.
Why is that?
Peter's good at making friends.
Is he? I haven't met him yet.
In her post, she includes #BachelorFam, #The Bachelor, #Bachelor ABC, #Bachelor Nation.
Yeah,
she knows what she's doing.
For whatever, like the people who go home like before like top 6 are notorious for
the hashtags.
For the hashtags. I don't know what it is. It's just like, if they've gone home in the first few weeks because they have like 50 hashtags.
That would be so funny if there was an Instagram account screenshotting everyone's hashtags captions. And it was called like Go Home Episode 1 or something.
I mean, listen, I empathize, like, especially nowadays. They had so much dreams and expectations of what this was going to be, or the money they might have, hear these stories of what women spend on money.
You're mourning the money that could have been made.
All right, what else we got, Ellie?
Kate, who was the one that gave Clayton a whiskey shot on opening night, it was revealed that she works at the Oppenheim Group, which is the Selling Sunset office. She did post with Jason 5 days ago, said clocking in from the couch, and it was the two of them sitting on the iconic Selling Sunset couch, and his hand was on her knee, which felt pretty close for a boss-employee relationship.
Chriselle just broke up. We're having her back on.
Yeah, friend of show, Chriselle.
Yeah.
God, I want a crossover so bad. Isn't there someone from Bachelor Nation dating the Love is Blind? The girl from
Blake and Giannina.
Yeah, like can we just like the MCU, like we've explored the multiverse with Spider-Man. Can we please see like Bachelor people entering Selling Sunset, vice versa?
Maybe, and people are wondering because she's on their roster, she's worked for them for years, but she hasn't been on the show. People are saying, now that she's on Bachelor, is she gonna be on Selling Sunset?
Maybe, but that's not how it wouldn't make if it definitely wasn't their plan, because that would be a bad plan, because they gave up their rights to her and gave those rights to Warner Brothers. Does Warner Brothers produce Selling Sunset? I have no idea.
No, I don't know who produces it, but I know it's a Netflix property.
Yeah, so it doesn't necessarily mean that Warner Brothers doesn't.
It's a Netflix original, I think. But yeah,
I have no idea. Chances are they don't, right? Which means that they would sideline Kate for a year and a half before they could even consider bringing her on, unless they released. It just wouldn't make sense. Like,
right.
Build up your own talent. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense. Don't outsource.
Yeah.
I think it's just a coincidence. I think she just wasn't on the show. And maybe that was her way of thinking. I don't doubt that maybe she thought that this is a way to make herself relevant so that the people from the Oppenheim Group or the Netflix might consider her. And that's a strong possibility.
And it worked.
But I don't think it's the Netflix people being like, hey, we'll go do
right.
The Bachelor.
No.
And it's an interesting wrinkle though. Like is she there for love? I don't know. Probably.
I don't know that post. Maybe they're just very friendly, but Nick and I have never taken a photo like that.
We never will either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Highly inappropriate.
Yeah. It was
his
weird
hands on her leg.
Cringe.
hand on the knee.
And they work together. And
he runs the brokerage.
And they worked for how long?
She's been a real estate agent out here for I think like 7 years. So I don't know if all 7 years were with Oppenheim.
Is it possible they took that photo before she worked there?
No, because she has like an Oppenheim mug and they're in the office and she said clocking in from the couch.
So they took a photo and put it on the internet of what
5 days ago.
anyone would consider inappropriate workplace behavior.
Yes.
You go. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yikes is right. I don't want any boss of mine with their hand on my knee.
No, it's when you put it in context, it's
it's very close.
Are people
It's very close.
recognizing the yikes of it all?
Yeah, I think so. People are kind of, yeah.
I mean, she looks like she's rather enjoying herself, but
Yeah.
it's still like that's her boss. And
Everyone is just commenting like they want to see her on Selling Sunset.
What was their relationship? Like, were they friends before? She definitely
Yeah, I don't know
works
how
there.
that all works in
Yeah.
terms of like, like if you're, I mean, they could like, if you're, coworkers date and then you like go to HR, right? Say,
Right.
hey, we're dating. So like we might show affection to each other at the workplace, right?
Right.
And then does it become,
Have you put
I don't know.
your?
Maybe he's just
Is
really
it-
friendly.
is
I don't
it a-
know.
well, that's definitely not an excuse. Hey guys, I'm just really friendly.
I don't know. I'm trying to give him the benefit
Like
of
if
the
that
doubt.
was just like, hey, well,
Yeah.
why workplace setting? Like
Yeah.
why?
And I'm trying to think. Have I let guy friends put their hands on my knee? I'm like trying to think before I
Knee?
speak. Like if I've let, and I think
Well,
the answer is no.
Here's a perfect, like we're friends. We've been nothing but platonic friends.
You would not take a photo
Like
like that.
Ashley, I've been nothing. Like I would.
Yeah, you would never put.
I
your
put my
hand-
arm around your
Yeah.
you'd put your arm around my shoulder if we took a picture.
Well, if the picture was that, would we then think
I
the same
feel
thing.
like the thigh is a very intimate
it is?
body part.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And scour the internet for my hands. on people.
Scour the internet.
Our favorite couple, Michelle and Nate. I believe they're currently in Winnipeg because last night they were ice skating. There's a giant Winnipeg sign behind them. Michelle recently went on the Clickbait podcast and said they're still living in different cities. They get recognized everywhere, especially because of Nate and how tall he is. And she is still getting hate DMs and paragraphs of,
It's tough.
yeah. And she just,
Surprised they
she's
don't live
ignoring the
together.
haters.
Surprised they don't live together.
But she was the one that did the People article and said this summer she wants the wedding. So
She said this summer.
mhm. She doesn't want to do a long engagement.
I don't think I'd want to do a long engagement.
Yeah, it's weird that they don't live together.
Maybe it's just
Is it weird?
timing. Maybe
Well,
he's
I mean,
trying to
again,
sell. I don't know.
Weird's the wrong word. This world requires you. I mean, you chose to get engaged in a few
Right.
weeks. It's court in the normal world. It's not weird at all.
Right.
Vanessa immediately moved to LA.
Mm.
It's just it opens up conversations like this. Like it's hard to
really connect if you're not living.
it's
in the
hard to
same
keep the
city and,
momentum
like,
going.
build.
It's
Yeah,
hard to
I
like
agree.
it is impossible. I don't care what Nate and Michelle say in public. Human and because they've both had their individual doubts. It would be human not to to just wonder like, do I know it? They don't know everything about each other. They hope to know.
No.
So it's a
You could be
normal
with
thing.
someone for 7 years and still
Yeah.
be finding. New
So they're just
success.
opening up the door by saying, that's the thing. And is it right or wrong? I have no fucking clue.
Well, maybe
but it's just it's a deliberate choice to not say, hey, let's keep going. Let's keep the momentum going.
Well, I have a question.
I don't know.
Because some people don't want to move in together unless they're engaged. In this case, they already are. Some people don't want to move in together unless they're married. So is that Michelle's stance? Maybe she wants to. Maybe that's why she wants a short engagement.
Yeah, I don't know.
I also think
Maybe he
there's
doesn't
a
want to
matter
go
of
paddleboarding.
he has a whole life in Austin. So
Oh, totally.
how quickly can you find a subleaser for your apartment or sell your condo, move everything to Minnesota? Like there's
He's been
time.
done filming. He's been engaged to Michelle since August-ish.
It's a long time.
September,
I just
Well,
feel like
actually, no,
our
maybe
fine.
October. I don't know. I don't know but he's had a handful of months. So.
yeah. I just feel
But
like
3
our
months isn't a lot. Actually,
Bachelor
for
in
this
Paradise
October.
couples
Yeah, I don't
all
know.
wanted.
I don't
months.
know. I don't know if he
Yeah.
works from home or whatever, and they have the right to do whatever they want. But I thought he was moving right away, and I don't know.
We'll see.
But good, I hope they make it. Anything else?
I mean, Katie and John will probably be in Mexico until the day they die.
Listen, I just got back from vacation and I don't know why I came back because I was reading that mid-January, you guys, is the moment of the year where most Americans are depressed. I think coming back from vacation.
The holidays.
It's not February.
It's not February. It's the reality sets in after that huge holiday. It's the most time people have off work. And if I'm Katie and John, I'm staying in Cabo for weeks.
They've been doing it.
Why not?
I was like, why did I come back from vacation?
Well, they don't have a 9 to 5. They're
right
influencing, and you can do that anywhere, I guess.
Yeah.
So why
They're
not?
doing
If they're
it from
getting
the
a
beach.
deal, do it on the beach.
I love that journey for her.
Yeah.
All I also just any update is Hannah Brown's still not following her sister-in-law.
Let's look.
That's honestly the only thing I'm personally invested in that. Are you familiar with the story?
Can you refresh my memory?
Hannah Brown's brother got engaged to Jed's ex-girlfriend. And by ex-girlfriend, the woman who claimed to have a situationship with Jed while he was falling in love with Hannah Brown. And now that woman is engaged to Hannah Brown's brother. And family's being supportive, but Hannah Brown does not follow her, which is a big deal in my opinion.
Yeah, she doesn't want to see what's going on there.
She you have to love, you love your siblings, but we often don't appreciate some of their choices, but you have to love and support them.
Yeah.
But the actively not following someone is an act of defiance. It's a statement.
It is a statement these days where it's I do not want to see your life, which I think is such.
And I
It's a
kind of love
statement
that she's
because you
not
can-
following them.
because you can follow someone and mute them,
For sure.
right?
Yeah.
And no one would know.
Yeah.
Or you could just not follow them and everyone knows that you don't follow.
No, it's a statement. She's still not following.
Mm-mm. And on that
Good for
note,
you, Hannah Brown. Naz, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you guys
having
for
me.
listening. Naz, please let the people know where they can follow you, what you're working on, all the things you need to promote.
Yes. So I'm on Instagram at Naz Perez, but Valentine's Day is coming up. Because you just asked, is February not the most depressing? And sometimes it can be. And so after I left working on the show, I started a support group for people that are heartbroken. And I think when we think of the word heartbreak, we think of a girl getting dumped by a guy in matching pajamas, eating ice cream on her bed. And really, heartbreak is overwhelming distress. And after I left working on the show to become a TV host, my neighbor knocked on my door, hysterical crying, because she was going through a breakup, but she had no one to talk to about it. So I listened to her. She told me her story, and she was like, I feel so much better talking to you because I can't talk to my mom or my sister about this. And I was like, why? And she was like, because they're going to tell me I'm so much better than him and that I need to move on, and I'm not ready to hear that yet. And all of a sudden, this light bulb went off in my head where I was like, oh, this concept of how we're more willing to tell strangers how we actually feel is such a real thing. And that's kind of how The Bachelor is made, in a sense. Like we were just saying, you go on that show, you feel vulnerable, you connect, and you're able to say things that you're not really able to say at home because you're in the comfort of strangers. And so yeah, in short, I run a support group for people that are heartbroken. We have 2 virtual meetings every month. We have in-person meetings in LA, and on Valentine's Day, I always have a meeting. So if you are experiencing any overwhelming distress, whether it's a divorce, the loss of a pet, a miscarriage, a breakup with a friend, job dream, you can come and listen to other people's stories of heartbreak to remind yourself you're not alone. And that's really it. HeartbrokenAnonymous.com if you guys want to join any of our meetings any month or come to the Valentine's Day meeting.
Amazing. Taylor Thomason was going to be our guest tomorrow. She unfortunately had a last minute cancel just moments ago. So quite frankly, we are scrambling, but she will definitely be back. Things came up. So Naz Perez is going to stick with us.
Wow. My next guest needs no introduction. Nick, you say that like you're just so with such disdain that I'm still going to be here.
I mean, listen,
Can we not?
I think
you and I just met. Can we not agree that sometimes as humans, we don't hear the words people say. We hear the emotional tone behind them.
Here's what I didn't do. I didn't elicit a ton of excitement as you're like, and our guest tomorrow. And I just said it, and then there's a combination of how I said it and then how people receive it. There's that too, because then we will project our own.
That's literally what I just said. We hear the emotional tone of words, not what people say. You were like, and we have Naz tomorrow.
That's like the definition of the Mean Girls scene where she's like, oh my God, where'd you get your skirt? I love it.
I think it'd be great because we just started this new segment that we're actually, we are going to be doing our pilot episode, and actually you will be great for that.
Is this it? Are we in the second episode right now?
No, this is the end of the first episode.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I don't know where I am.
I didn't either.
So be sure to tune in tomorrow.
Tomorrow, 5 minutes from now.
If you like Ask Nicks, this isn't an Ask Nick. It's different because we're just mediating a fight between a couple.
Oh, this is so
It's going to be so much better.
And not like, Ask Nick is like, oh, okay, so I let me set the stage. I met a guy a year ago. We started like dating, and then we were in a situationship, and then I met their friend, and then they stole money, and blah, blah, and then we get to I hear the story, and we solve the problem, and then we give them a path of how to see their situation a little more honest.
Right.
This is
Ask Nick and Naz.
Sure. This is no, it's called mediation.
Which is great because
this is like I open up the fridge, I put my name on the milk, they drank the milk, but they only drank a sip. But like I didn't, it's like it's the people's court version.
I love this.
And it's going to be a new segment we're going to do with our guests on Wednesdays. And then so we'll also talk some pop culture with you, being the E-News, as well as talk more about heartbreak and Heartbroken Anonymous.
Thanks, Nick. You're the best. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I actually am really excited because, I'll tell you guys next episode.
Just you wait.
And as always, for the Ask Nick episodes, don't forget to send your questions at asknick@castme.com, cast with a K. If you are in a relationship with a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, and you're fighting about, who should have done what and was someone being manipulative, we'll give you our opinion. Call in. We got you for our new segment of mediation. We'll see how it goes. Thanks for listening. We will see you tomorrow. Hey guys, thanks for watching. But before you go, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any future videos like our Mondays Ask Nick, especially if you're looking for some relationship stories and relationship advice, as well as our Wednesday interviews with your favorite celebrities and experts. See you next time.